Welcome to Conversational Currency, Maryland's top small business talk show. I'm your host, Shadidi Laser. Ladies and gentlemen, communication is a superpower, and conversational currency examines the value and importance of social skills for business in the digital era told through the stories, the lens of today's business and thought leaders, through the stories of our guests and as well as current events. We will answer the question: if you were able to say the right words in the right moment to every man or woman in a business setting, how different would the quality of your life be? Success starts with seizing opportunity, and right now is your chance to grab the Digital Assets Execution Plan, which is the step-by-step guide to package your skills and create digital assets to escape the time for money trap. Your next step is to browse mrshadid.com/assets and claim your free plan. In this conversational currency live exclusive conversation, we will go into the art, the science, the discipline of movement, and how it impacts you as a business leader, as a busy professional, and as a budding entrepreneur. Now, I myself am physically fit and believe in physicality as a gateway, as a passport to the riches of life. But there's only one man on the planet that can explain this topic in the depth that we need to go. And so, without further ado, I bring to you Mr. Paul Michaels. How are you, Paul?
Fine. That's a lot of pressure. I'm the only person on the planet. I better be careful. Yeah, at this moment. Correct. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here and very happy to share my journey of pain and suffering and various other things to hopefully prevent others from having to go down the same path.
Absolutely. Now, there's different forms of wealth that exist in our existence and reality. Now, can you share your interesting viewpoint on the various forms of wealth and where health fits into that hierarchy?
Absolutely. I was out walking my dog this morning and just thinking about what I was going to talk about. And there's a very well-known expression called health is your greatest wealth. And so I was playing with that, and I realized that there are a whole bunch of other wealths that we have, that all of us have. And I think what we need to do is instead of fixating on the financial wealth, I think we need to build all of them. So I just wanted to go through them quickly and get the conversation going. So clearly there's financial wealth. Although it doesn't feel like it, it's an infinite resource that we have. There are people who have lost millions of dollars and then earned another 2 million or billions of dollars. So it's something that if you're smart enough, lucky enough, whatever it is, well-connected enough, you can come back from losing it. So it's an infinite resource that we have access to. And that's good to remember. There's the wealth of connections. Connections also are an infinite resource. I know that somebody who is logging on to LinkedIn for the first time and LinkedIn ingests all their contacts, they suddenly realize, oh boy, I have so many people that I need to contact. These are all great. And you suddenly have a wealth of contacts. So that is also finite, because if you make everybody mad and they stop following you, you can start again, be a little nicer, and build a new group of connections. This next one's a little weird, but it does happen. Your family, or the grounding that we get from family, in some ways is an infinite resource too. I have a friend who is in his late 80s, mid 80s at the moment, and he got married, he had kids, his wife died, and then he remarried, had more kids, and is living, the life of two families in his 80 plus years. So it's something that is, in a sense, renewable. So that's a resource that we have. Our energy. Now, our energy is really important because it's it's kind of like a balloon. You can kind of squeeze the air from one side to the other side. So, I find at the end of the week, I'm pretty pooped and I just want to sit down and relax and watch TV. So basically, I've used up all my energy for the week, and the weekend, I just want to relax. Uh, there are reasons for that. We can discuss that later. But you can shift that energy around, and you can also kind of mine more of it. It's really converting um, focus and excitement into energy. So it's something that we can um, move around a lot. But obviously, when you're dead tired, you're dead tired. Nothing's going to happen. So that's the end of that. Then we have our focus and productivity, which is a finite source as well. And it's one of the things that I teach within my program is that as human beings, we are not built to sit at a chair and focus for 10 hours a day. Our bosses would love us to do that, and they think we do that. But the reality is, when you get into the physiology of the human brain, it just doesn't happen. So there are ways of not wasting your energy, pretending to work, and using that, somewhere else in a more productive way. So it's kind of squishy. We can move it around, but when you're dead tired, you're done. And then the greatest wealth, and I'd love to have an argument with somebody about why this wouldn't be the greatest wealth, but the greatest wealth is your health. Because if you don't have your health, you can't do any of those other things, and you don't have the energy to do it. You don't, you're not capable of doing it. And we've seen a lot of very wealthy people who unfortunately die way before their time. I mean, one of my favorites is Steve Jobs. It's been just over, I think, 10 years now since he's been gone, which is really weird to think about. But the man was so creative and created such iconic products. He had a lot of money, and he had resources to medicine and the best doctors and everything, and it didn't help in the end. So if you look at all these resources and you kind of get an idea of ones that are finite, ones that aren't, you start to realize that you might not have $1 million in your bank account, but you can be really wealthy if you're in good health, if you can really focus well, if you've got a lovely family supporting you, if you have good friends and good connections and all of those things. It's real wealth, and the money will come, one way or another if you apply it. So that's what I was thinking about, and it sort of intrigued me. So I want we should have a little exercise where people write down the wealth that they have, and so they can really sort of feel good about it and realize what they can do. So that was the idea about the wealth.
That's an excellent insight, and I feel that it clearly illustrates the hierarchy of needs from
Yep.
a wealth paradigm or standpoint. Now, when we talk about priorities for the busy leader, for the business owner, they oftentimes look at their energy as, let's say, a finite resource, and of which they prioritize their energy to go towards the work that needs to be done and go in a direction of the task, the business that needs to be accomplished, and health in the maintenance of it. In the micro decisions are often the absolute last priority. Um, can you share your insight on how to reframe and why it's important to consider health as you're building your empire or working hard from a day-to-day standpoint?
Sure. I mean, I could illustrate it with my story, or I can kind of discuss it divorced from that. At the moment, we can go into my story too. Which way would you prefer?
Let's go into your path in terms of
Okay.
your journey with health that led to this powerful mission.
Absolutely. Um, so as much as I'd like to not admit it, I'm just a regular person like everybody out there. And I had challenges through the decades. I found myself in 2012 at a crossroads. I had been sitting at desks as a software developer, as a videographer, as a photographer for decades. And as a result of that, when I went to see my doctor in 2012, she told me that I was on the cusp of being obese. And I had tried to do those crazy diets, and I guess it wasn't working. So that wasn't working out for me. And the other thing that had happened, because I was sitting so much, that I was very prone to back spasms, and those are not fun. And at one point, I had one for over a year. And I went to a back surgeon and asked, can you do something to help me? And he said, no, surgery is not going to help. So you just have to, do physical activity. You have to do the PT exercises. And at that point, my kids were younger, and it's like, well, hold on a sec. I like to play rambunctiously with my kids, And he said, oh, no, you can still do that. And it's like, oh, I'm getting excited. How can I do that? Whenever you want to do it, just lie down on your back on the floor and have them come to you. And it's like, hold on a second. I'm in my 30s, late 30s. That is not the answer I want to hear. I'm not in my 90s. I'm not an old man. And I didn't really have a choice at that point in time. So I did it. And when I did, I made a promise to myself that my kids weren't going to have to remember me this way, and that I was going to be the vibrant father that I wanted to be. So fast forwarding to 2012, at that point, I was a work from home dad of 3 kids. And I was juggling my kids' schedules, my work, taking care of the family, and still dropping the ball on my health. I thought I was really good because I would schedule workouts in my digital calendar, but something would always come up, something with the kids, or I would just be too darn tired to get off my duff and actually go exercise. So I would just kind of move it off to the next day. And the problem with the way we look at exercise as a society is it's binary. We go somewhere and do it, or we don't do it. And so the week would end up being, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, maybe go once, sort of thing. And so the irony of all of this is, at that point in time, I did not have an excuse, because I lived less than 500 steps from a brand new YMCA. So it wasn't a huge effort for me to actually get there and do it. So between the doctor telling me that I was on the cusp of being obese, back spasms that were really ruining my life and making me very uncomfortable, and the fact that, I didn't realize how much I sat. I would get up in the morning, I'd sit at breakfast, I'd get in the car, drive to work, I would be sitting, I'd sit at my desk, I'd get up for lunch and sit in the cafeteria. Then I would go and sit in meetings, and I'd get in the car and drive home sitting, and then I'd have dinner sitting. And then if I was lucky, I could watch something with my wife and we'd be sitting, or I'd work on my work and I was sitting. So, I'd heard about sitting disease, and the fact that the more you sit, the more prone you are to a whole bunch of diseases called the sitting diseases. But frankly, at that point, I just couldn't process it. The only thing I could really contemplate was what my doctors were telling me, or my PT was telling me, exercise an extra 15 minutes, do more PT exercises. And those are the things I just didn't have time to do. So I got to a point where I just said, enough is enough. And I did what felt right, which was quit. I quit the YMCA that was 500 steps from my house because I wasn't going. I quit pretending to diet because obviously it wasn't working. And I quit sitting because it was killing my back, and it was getting in the way of my life. And what I started to do is I started to experiment afresh. It cleared out all the junk that we're told that works. And I just started experimenting. And as I started to experiment, I started to get real results. And within the first 6 months, I had lost 30 pounds. My goal was to lose 35 pounds, but I'd lost 30 pounds. And at that point, I had walked over 1,000 miles just doing what I normally do. And the secret that I found out was that exercise is not binary. You do it or you don't do it. Exercise is everywhere around you at all times. And, so what we want to do is we want to squeeze enough physical exercise in between our Zoom calls, in between our meetings, in between working on documents and that sort of stuff. And by the end of the day, have enough that your body has got sort of base level of exercise. And that's really what I teach with Get Fit Made Easy. And it's such a reawakening, when you realize that walking 250 steps 40 times a day is the equivalent of walking 10,000 steps once a day. And your body doesn't care, which way you do it. And in fact, if you do it the little bits and pieces during the day, it's actually equivalent to doing the 10,000 steps. But the advantage is that you are going to more easily build a habit. The habit of going to the gym for an hour and a half, changing my clothes, having to have a shower, all that sort of stuff got in the way of me doing it. But when I'm working at my desk and I have to go to the bathroom, I have to walk to the bathroom anyway. There's nothing I have to do it. There's nothing getting in the way. So if I add going around my house twice to get to the bathroom and on the way back, going around it twice, all of a sudden I've attached a positive habit to something I have to do anyway. And it's sort of like Lego blocks. You have these big chunks throughout the day and you just add little blocks all the way along so that you're always have opportunities for exercise. So I have been doing this for the last 9 years. I weigh what I did at 19 years old. I'm now 56. And in the 9 years that I've been doing this, just packing in steps here and there where I get the opportunity, I have actually walked over 87% of the distance around the earth. And so it's the tortoise and the hare. I mean, you can be the hare and not make it to the gym, or you can be the tortoise and like me and just keep going everywhere. When I go grocery shopping, I add steps. When I walk the dog, I add steps, all of this sort of stuff. So the message is there's absolutely a solution that can be created for each person that fits their personality and their circumstances, so that you are always getting exercise. So at the end of the day, you've got your 10,000 steps or 20,000 steps. Yesterday, I happened to have to go get my teeth cleaned, and I can walk to my dentist. So by the end of the day, I had 22,000 steps, which is over 10 miles of steps. And I was working and I was doing other stuff. So it is absolutely possible, and it's absolutely possible for everybody. And what we do with Get Fit Made Easy is we help you design something that's going to fit your lifestyle and your likes and dislikes, so that you are able to be fit. And if I can do it, I'm not an athlete and never was an athlete. Anybody can do it. So. Yeah.
Excellent story, and lots of great experiences and transformation within your journey. Now, the path to go from someone who is too busy and overworked to passing their 500 step milestone, 1,000 step milestone, that can be a valley in itself. So for the viewer and listener who feels that they don't have enough time to get started, what is your advice for them to start to carve out those moments to get additional steps and fitness and movement within their day?
All right. So let me ask a question of you and your audience. Let's talk about the human brain. And let me ask a question of how long can you focus productively at one time? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of choices. 2 hours, all day, 20 minutes. Which do you think it is?
Well, optimally, I would say 20 minutes in today's world.
Well, yes, it's gone down with social media and various other things. So the human brain, kids 18 and above to adults, the human brain can really concentrate productively for about 20 minutes. So the good news is that when you understand that, and this goes in cycles during your day, they're called ultradian rhythms. You've probably seen it. Some people have, I have an app, a sleep app that basically sees how I sleep. And it's basically peaks and troughs throughout the night. Those peaks and troughs actually exist in our waking consciousness as well. And that is focus and lack of focus. So if you're able to understand that and you're able to say, okay, so I'm coming into a focus phase, I'm going to work on one or a couple of little things for 20 minutes with full focus. I'm not going to check my Twitter feed. I'm not going to check the news, anything like that. I am just going to focus. And then when that 20 minutes is up, you set an alarm. And this is a technique called the Pomodoro technique. You then take a 5-minute break, whether you need to go to the bathroom, get some water, whatever it is, and you walk just for 5 minutes. And it can be in your house. I mean, I have about 700 or 800 square feet that I can walk in near my office. And I just basically walk around and forget about work for a couple of minutes. And then I come back and then I work for another 20 minutes. And the beauty of this is that you are only utilizing the best focus that you have, number one. Number two, walking around has been proven. There's been scientific proof, and I can go into that some other time, but scientific proof that if you are just walking, you're actually almost twice as creative as when you were sitting. Okay. So that 5-minute break is going to make you more creative, and it lasts for a little while. There's a bit of an afterglow to it. And third, I mean, has anybody here had a problem that they're trying to solve, and at the end of the day, they're brushing their teeth in front of the mirror, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the perfect answer comes? Well, that's your subconscious. You've basically, by dealing with this question and forgetting about it, you've said to the subconscious, process this information, give me the best answer. It's like Get Smart. It spits out the answer in a little piece of paper. And so you are more likely to have that experience, not once a year, twice a year, but every day, multiple times, because you've taken advantage of the 20 minutes where you're focused. You've spent the 5 minutes where you're not to go move around. You're more creative, and you've given your brain permission to process something and give you the answer. And so by looking at how we work and utilizing the same, everybody's got a brain, everybody's got feet, and, we're like everyone else. But if you know how to use the machine properly, you can actually get much better work done in less time, be more creative, be more alert, and benefit from that. So I say you're never too busy to not take a 5-minute break every 20 minutes, for the simple fact that you're not being honest with yourself, because our capabilities are limited. And so instead of trying to push through and not do your best work, or maybe sort of start going on to Twitter and all that other stuff, do your best work, take a break, get a little bit of exercise, come back, do your best work, take a little break. If you do that, you're going to be more productive in less time with better ideas, and you're not going to be as exhausted, because frankly, the more you move, the more you can move. After walking 10 plus miles yesterday, you would think I would be tired. No, not at all. I don't feel any different walking 10 miles or 5 miles or whatever it is. I just feel alert. So the Pomodoro is a very good example of how we can hack what we've been given by Mother Nature and use it to our advantage. And again, that's something that I teach, and what we do is we keep you accountable over time, so that this becomes a habit, and a very good one. So I hope that answered the question.
Absolutely. Now, for those who are looking to take the next step, they understand that movement's important. They've set the goals for their year, and they just need a structured way to take accountability. Can you please take us into the 5-day challenge and tell us more about how you propose people to use their busy work days to get active, reframe their time, and build the body and lifestyle that they want through health and wellness?
Right. Absolutely. So we're having a free 5-day challenge. You can find it on Facebook, and I think Shadid has links to it. So it's very simple. It's really amazing um, that you can be at your desk one day and go, there's no way for me to get exercise at all. This is awful. I'm just going to work through the day. And the next day, after having, a conversation with me, or we work on something, you can suddenly go, oh my God, there's so much I can do. And I'm going to take a break every 20 minutes and walk around. The mind shift is amazing because it can take things that are invisible and make them visible. And I think we've all sort of had those at some point in time, and some of us need to have them more often. But so the purpose of the 5-day challenge is to set up some of this information so that you kind of understand what works, and then take those parts and put them together so that you can then start working on it. You can then start developing your own type of solution, and that's really what I focus on. I'm not like the P90X diet where you do it their way or it's the highway. This is a completely customized for you plan, and then so you'll sort of get an idea of that on the 5-day challenge. You'll be with other people just like you, so it'll be fun. There are prizes. We check in every evening and kind of discuss what we found that works for us. So that's great. And then that kind of leads into the Get Fit Made Easy smartphone app. And the purpose of the smartphone app is that we take what you've learned and we create a complete plan, that we co-create a complete plan that fits your lifestyle and your personality. And then what we do is we roll it out over time. And I'm basically, we're the coach in your pocket. So you always have access to us. You're seeing what you're doing. You're competing with your friends on leaderboards. You can chat with everybody. You can ask your coach a question in the HIPAA compliant chat stream. It's very accessible. It's instantaneous, and it keeps you accountable. Plus, you have a coach that's been assigned to you who is going to make sure that you're doing these things on a daily basis, answering your questions, solving the problems, so that you get things out of the way so you can be doing these things. And the secret to anything, any habit, is to do it day in, day out for a long period of time. And then it becomes lifestyle. And that is the key. So we co-create a plan with you. We roll it out on the platform. And then you get the support between friends, family, whoever's on there, leaderboards to challenge you, your coach. And we give you the accountability over time. So it's a 6-month plan or a 1-year plan. And by the end of it, you will never need us again, because I can tell you my life now in comparison to what it was 9 years ago, I'm ashamed. I mean, I can't even think about that old Paul, or that young Paul, sorry, that young old Paul, versus where I'm at now. I mean, I'm just so much happier, so much better off than I was then. And it's just natural to me now. So that's the idea, is that we build this into habit, which becomes lifestyle, and you're done. you've got the tools you need for life. You don't need to diet. You don't need to, it's good to do other exercises. I'm not saying walking is the only thing, but you will always have that base level exercise that keeps you healthy and fit and helps you maintain your weight and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so basically it goes from the 5-day challenge. And then for people who are really motivated to make this work, it then goes into the Get Fit Made Easy app, where you've got your coach and your community in your pocket, so that you can really make it work for you. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this discussion, we have learned about the hierarchy of priorities and where health fits into the wealth equation. We've also, through the story of Paul, learned the importance of movement and transformation and how we can take some of those lessons and begin to carve out work time within our schedule to start to build a better version of self. How to be Zoom fit in minutes a day challenge is 5 days, and it will show you in a step-by-step format how to squeeze the movement, the activity into your workday in order to improve your health. This challenge is free of charge, but the lessons that you will learn are priceless. On behalf of Paul Michaels, I'm Shadidi Laser, and you've been tuning into Conversational Currency. We are Maryland's top small business talk show, and you could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. And for that, we appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you very much.